2, Invictus Gaming taking... I'm going to call it an upset in Game 1 because of the standings right now and how poor IG have looked beforehand. But Ultra Prime, they look rattled by the losses from AL and then also the games against the game here against IG. Their objective setup clearly wasn't cutting it. And IG in Game 2 and Draft are doing exactly the same thing again, banning away the AP jungles and probably going to end up with maybe Niket's Leona being taken off the board as well.
I think Zyra's rise in popularity is certainly something that Hacker has been doing a lot of work with. He's been pretty scary on the champion when he's had it. An occasional moment, of course, the Karthus. Well, he was the one who pulled out the remake of Tokyo Drift. The last time I remember seeing him do that one. Some very stylish moves, but understandably banned away. On the other side for Ultra Prime, they're banning away the Tristana. Feel obligated to do so to prevent Nani from getting a hand on it. Of course, a couple of those key picks from YSKM also off the table.
Yeah, and it feels like now YSKM, he's not going to get himself that tank matchup again cleanly in that top side. It does feel like Ultra Prime... with that Leona open, that should be a very easy lock-in. Niket's Leona is absolute stardust. Have to see now whether IG can answer that one. Of course, it was Vampire who walked away largely the more impactful support in Game 1. Niket has been the upstart support over the entire summer, though. I'm expecting him to bounce back if Ultra Prime come away, or looking to come away with the victory, you know?
Yeah, and an understandable first pick, considering how important Niket has been to... leading the way for this team. And we saw in the last game, the Nautilus was fine, but they were really struggling to make it an MVP performance, shall we say, which is often what we praised Niket for. It's not just been fine, it's been stellar. On the other side, though, that is a very, very rapid lock of a Draven Nautilus, a statement bot lane for Red 1-2.
So, does Doggo go for Ashe, or do they go for Ziggs? There are a couple of different answers you can go towards here, because Hacker... he might have himself something like the Brand. You could go for a Brand as well. You're looking for something that can survive lane and add value in. I don't think you can look to go kind of like blow for blow against the Draven Nautilus. That's such a powerful combination. Very, very hard to work with that one. The Leona for Niket is such a good pick, though. I don't mind it being a first pick purely because he's so damn good. This champion was first round banned from IG in Game 1. And with that already put in, you have yourself a lot of your engage. I do think that Brand would be very valuable here for Ultra Prime, but they might just skip over the AP junglers in favor of one of those AD mid laners for Yuka instead.
Understandable. They will be kind of looking to maybe do something like what Invictus Gaming did last game. Of course, they've gone towards the Ezreal over something like the Ziggs. Very rapid lock from the Yone. IG clearly here to play with a plan. They know exactly what they're looking for.
They are really aggressive mid laner into that Corki as well. I think Nani has had... he's had an up and down summer, but I think given the situation that he's in, where he's been role swap, where he's been subbed in and out of this roster, I have to say, I've got to give a lot of praise to Nani. This guy's really had a lot of heart to him in dealing with the situations he's been put through. IG IRA team on a bit of a shoestring when they're trying to put things together. And I think that him and Griffith have had some real ups and downs, but they've managed to come up with some huge wins, particularly the series against NIP. I feel like those two really came together in a special way. If they can do that versus Ultra Prime as well, I hope it's the start of better things for this IG mid duo.
So, what the mid lane pairing is going to be, unless of course I suppose it is YSKM, he might be a Yone player, it feels like his kind of champion, even if it has migrated from top lane of late more towards mid lane again. But you can see Ultra Prime, don't think that's an option really at the minute, as they're banning away a few more of those YSKM comfort options. The Kennen certainly kind of rearing its head as well as a potential AP option in the top lane. I suppose Rumble up and available, but doesn't seem to have been particularly high priority for either team so far.
That's a really good point. Rumble has been permanently banned in grand majority of our LPL series, so you're looking for that magic damage somewhere, of course. Griffith can't play that Lilia, could play something like the Brand or the Nidalee. It would be okay. Very aggressive, and they go for the Brand instead. I think that's a good takeaway from Hacker here as well.
Yeah, of course, can't play. He could potentially play the Lilia himself here. I don't know whether it's the best game for Lilia. Might be okay, I suppose, especially if you just need the AP, but I'm not looking at this and going, that screams Lilia angle, at least off my first read, anyway.
Lilia is really quite bad into all of this heavy
CC,
but it does outrange. You could play for the outrange, and that could be okay. Going towards something a little bit different, maybe just saying, look, Qingtian, you're going towards a nullifying topside with the Gragas. It has been showing its head a little bit across the world, just being able to deny a lot of the aggressive matchups in topside. Very unlikely that it does go into the jungle. we did see it, of course, in the past. It was a classic jungle pick. Not really there anymore. Hacker, last pick jungle. What's the thought?
The Nidalee up could potentially work. You've got a bit of lockdown CC now with the Gragas and the Leona. Can make hitting those javelin tosses that bit easier. So now with a Corki, an Ezreal, and a Nidalee.
Oh, go on, YSCam. Returning back to the LPL stage, there's a smile on the face.
Go on.
An IG, come on. I think that's okay. It works well into the Gragas.
There it is.
So, now, Gragas, very good into most split pusher dueling threats like the Renekton or particularly the Jax or something like that. Not great into Fiora, because you try and body slam, that riposte ruins your life. You can't disengage in the same way. So, IG, very different composition. I think that their team fighting might suffer in regards to that. But for the side of Ultra Prime, you know, you'd maybe think, oh, they can just go towards team fights then. The Nidalee does make that a little bit more difficult. You do have setup with that Leona. You have a little bit of setup with the Gragas as well. It's harder to play around. I don't think either of these compositions are particularly easy to play.
No, I can see the higher ends of both. If you can start hitting those big CC combos from Niket leading the way into Javelin Toss and Mystic Shots and all of the Corki bursts as well, you can certainly begin to really snap, engage, and burst people out on the other side. The Yone, the Fiora, with the brand turning up behind them, you can play some very aggressive 1-3-1s and skirmishes here. If someone starts snowballing there, Draven gets a lead, that Yone gets a lead. Whoever ends up with a kind of gold advantage could really take over a game from IG2.
Game 2. Invictus Gaming ran away with game 1. Arn on the Zig, so powerful. Griffith on the Lilia, so powerful. They don't have those picks anymore.
Oh, no.
It's Fearless, but they do have themselves another strong composition coming out of draft. Ultra Prime. It's going to have to be a difficult game for them on that Nidalee. They need to make sure that early game is better. They need to stand up to the pressure and to the occasion. They cannot afford to slip up once again. They want to get themselves that Ascension group, the upper group in the next stage.
Fearless by draft, fearless by nature. Some of these champions, some of these compositional elements are going to require some deft handling. YSKM on probably his iconic pick, the Fiora back in on the other side. A Nidalee poke burst composition. This is not going to be the easiest thing to do. Onto the Rift we go.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Some very passionate IG fans out there, and understandably so, after the pretty stellar first game in the end of it all. Shout out to the likes of Arn and Vampire having a great time of it on the Ziggs and Alistair respectively, of course, this time around. It's not quite a Ziggs lane, a Draven Nautilus.
However, look, IG, if there's one thing about this org you should know, it doesn't matter who's playing AD carry, they play Draven.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Whatever AD carry it is, whether it was, so funnily enough, when it was Arn and Wink, both of them played bot lane before, and they were both Draven players, so it got to the point where Arn and Wink, before this split, obviously when Wink left for EDG, they had a bot lane of both bot laners playing Draven. They could do that. That was a hell of a time. However, Doggo on the Ezreal. He's had one good game of the Ezreal and one quite poor one. Niket on the Leona makes... That was threading the queue, so that's a good sign. Niket on that Leona. That's what I really want to pay attention to. He has been the star rookie so far in some. He's going to walk up, get that aftershock. Needs to be careful. Again, that Draven can do an awful lot of damage very early on, especially with that level 2 and level 3 with the Blood Rush available. Need to be very careful. They might just lose themselves in level 2 race as well.
Very aware of what happens to that one, because Vampire can absolutely look for that flash.
Miscue from Doggo.
Now Doggo's in danger. Make that Niket, who has to flash away, flash on in. That's just going to be first blood. Level 2 is hit, and they win out.
Doggo misses a Q on a minion, which means that Ultra Prime can't get level 2. Doggo missing a skill shot. Loses in the XP. Arn and Vampire capitalize. I really feel like Doggo ended up throwing Niket under the bus there a little bit. They walked up a little too far. IG killing the bot lane.
What a nightmare moment. You can't miss Qs like that in...
It's not a minion!
Yeah. On lanes like this as well, you just have to hit the Q.
Like, he just... the minion's not moving. You can contest for that level 2. Maybe there's a chance you can turn things around. No, you don't have the heal in the lane, so it wasn't going to be like you have that extra combat summoner for the Leona anyway. But losing that level 2 so handily. When you have the Ezreal, who always has access to farm, means so much. Oh, Doggo.
Boy, Vamp Scepter first back, 19 CS. Arn is chilling down there.
Oh, man. I really got a feel for the spot lane of Ultra Prime. And we saw this a little bit in the Anyone's Legend series when it came to the end of that Game 2 and then into Game 3. It felt like mentally the game really got to them. And I'm not going to read in too much to it, but it feels like, again, here, this is not the Ultra Prime that we've seen for the rest of these series. And IG, they're playing as though there's no care in the world. Because there isn't for them. They're playing completely all shackles off. And they're really playing out aggressive games very well. And it feels like they're getting under Ultra Prime's skin. This could be exactly what they needed to have a bit of an underdog run.
Already some uncharacteristic mistakes, I'd say, of late from Ultra Prime in the early phases. They have been a team that's been pretty solid in the early stage, particularly the likes of Hacker, of course, has been so good at setting up those early games. That's not been the case so far.
And when you have that Nidalee, you need to be ahead early, so that's going to be very dangerous. And look, they have to walk up and do so much dangerous phase checking like this. The wave was in an awful spot. It might even still be frozen against them. The early mistake from Doggo might have just put Ultra Prime into a very terrible position. Well, is it? They're very close to their tower. They do have the cleanse on Arn. They don't have anything on Vampire. There is a chance that... Do they have a sweeper? No, they don't. So they won't be able to sweep out this middle brush. They don't spot Hacker heading away, at least.
Is that they know there's a ward in that middle bush there, so I suspect Hacker will go on over and clear that one away. Throws down that trap in order to ensure an easy enough take of it all. Puts down a ward in the tri brush and top side. Xingqiang belly bot Fiora, who then decides to lunge on forward and stab him in return.
And Xingqiang has always been that well, he has been a duelist player in the past, but YSKM is like the duelist player.
Yes, true.
Xingqiang, very big player of the Darius. He goes towards the Gragas and says, look, if I've got a blind pick, I'm going to have something that can at least bring value. You can see already, though, YSKM bringing about big lead towards that top side. Really getting quite worried for Ultra Prime here because it feels like they do need themselves an early advantage to leverage somewhere. It is not coming easily. Xingqiang will be able to get himself that recall with the teleport through first to get himself the tier or whatever he's going towards though.
Still, early lead over Invictus Gaming is significant. I think you can all imagine exactly where that lead is after the first bloods. Griffith will take the opportunity with the shove in bot lane to call over his bot lane and start up this early Ocean Dragon.
When the bot lane winning so hard, it is very easy to control that one. You get to do it before the grubs even spawn. If you're quick enough and you're dominating lane hard, and if you go towards Dragon, and then of course because the grubs spawn a minute later, you get to waltz way up there, take that one anyway, which means that Hacker on the Nidalee doesn't get any ganks off, doesn't get any objective control, doesn't hold back the brand, and the Nidalee has failed the first kind of like checklist of things that you can do to take over a game. Tian and Kanavi do it consistently. Hacker has not quite been able to do it in this one. Needs to find value on the Nidalee, otherwise this champion is going to get so much harder to play.
Yukai in the mid lane, playing out against Nani, who is, as you're kind of saying, on a champion that if they do get ahead, suddenly you end up in a position where a Fed, Fiora, Yone, and Draven all at the same time, you are having a rough time in any 1v1/2v2 skirmish wherever you are on the map.
He will get himself those grubs in top set. Okay, so Griffith not able to go towards that one. Which is important. Xingqiang had already teleported back towards topside YSKM as well. And we did see that Xingqiang did get that tier up early. It means that you're not going to be running out of your mana nearly as much. You can't really do much around here. Hacker hasn't used the smite. Hasn't used the smites, and you don't want to walk in towards the Nidalee all the same. Gone back for a Darksteel too. So Hacker need to see this guy start combing up. The problem is, if you are falling behind with that Leona, and you're held in lane now by the Draven and the Nautilus, who is going to set up for this Nidalee, you know?
Yeah, will be pretty tricky if they don't have that. Of course, Leona's value is that whatever she's doing, her R button is still available, so it will be okay to do that. But still, been a relatively slow last couple minutes after the early violence in bot lane. Trade of objectives, and lane's kind of playing out relatively stably. I'm not quite sure whether that favours either team right now. I'm looking at the likes of Ultra Prime saying, well, they'd like to get an item and a half, 2 items on both AD carries. They'd like to get this Gragas away from his bargain bin components of tears and mana crystals.
They want to get away from the Fiora if they can.
That's very true.
That's hard. This is the thing. You look to that. You look at that Gragas last pick and you think, ah, it's YSKM. Oh dear, he's going to do something with that one. He has forever been the duelist player. He has been put on tank duty for IG more often than not. Since kind of like his last foray onto the Rift, he was the Cassante player, he's playing a load of that kind of thing. Back towards the duelist though, and it might be a very important moment for them. Ultra Prime reminder, if they lose the series, they are kind of put into a very difficult situation where potentially, if Weibo can catch up and end up winning against AL today, things could get very, very spicy.
Oh boy.
On the spot side. going to be completely fine to stacking up now, at least. IG, they've gotten a lead in that bot side. They haven't really managed to do that much with it right now, but what they have done is stop Niket from getting out of this lane and being the Leona god, which we know he can be.
Yeah, and all the while, Doggo down about 10 CS, probably just over. We'll clear up most of this wave and keep that relatively even, but there's no wave. They are going to look to put some wards down. How aggressive do IG want to play this?
They don't have that much setup available to them. With the barrier and the flash, with Leona being level 5, it's kind of hard to do that.
Would be pretty rough, yeah.
The thing is that while all this is happening, you can see that Qingtian's doing completely... YSKM doing completely fine in this matchup. He's doing really, really well at just taking this matchup to the Gragas. Next time that riposte up, there's every chance that the Grand Challenge could come through for a huge, quick Fiora combo. He's trying to hold this for the next Q cooldown. Should be fine to wave through this.
Should be able to clear out all of that. Gets to press Q a couple times, and Space Groove Gragas uses his weird slime barrel to clear out the minion wave.
Maybe it's just Slurm from Futurama.
That's what I've heard. That's kind of what I think it is.
Yeah. What was that episode about Futurama? I was like, oh, what if the secret ingredient for this cola is people? No, that's Soylent Cola. Oh, what's it taste like? It differs from person to person.
Yeah. Of course, a reference to Soylent Green out there, of course, if you know what that one is. If you don't,
I did look that up at some point. That was nasty.
It's pretty grim. It's very that era of dystopian literature, shall we say. But Futurama, notoriously good at putting in a few references here and there, much as we are in a game like this.
Grub spawning just under a minute. You see that supports unlocked from their lanes. Niket just below level 6. Would love to have that one. Needs to be very... you got to be careful here, folks. Nahaka face checks with the trap and the spear. He's very powerful at doing that one. Niket, he only needs like 1 minion, then he can get that solar flare unlocked, and we can see whether Ultra Prime can get themselves that first big fight of the game. That could be very important on Vampire. They switched up towards topside to get a push in topside to allow them to get a better entrance towards Grubs. We can see that Ultra Prime, they're opening onto the map a little later. They're still going to be there in time for the Grubs, though.
Of course, actually, you're looking at this team from IG and you're going, Fiora or Yone who get access to Grubs, yes please. So you can see exactly why they're putting a lot of emphasis into this, because as we do hit those mid-game stages, you kind of know that Invictus Games will be looking to set up for some of those longer side lane options for their solo laners.
So, Grubs have spawned, Ultra Prime are here in time. What are we looking at in terms of entrances to this? Yokai could teleport in as well, currently down towards bot side. YSKM, no teleport. So, if Ultra Prime spot the fact that YSKM is down there, they can go for a 5v4.
Gonna head on over now is Qingtian. There's the depth charge onto Hacker, knocking him away. Nani gets the fate sealed into the backline, but it leaves everyone else a bit left out to dry. Vampire is burned down in the sunlight. We always knew Leona would be good into a player named that, and already they get a kill, they get the Grubs, and IG just go a little deep trying to get to the backline.
So game 1 was really good objective setup from IG, but the problem we've had with this team is the fact that they don't always know when not to fight, and this felt like one of those times. Vampire completely caught out in the front line because no one else could really follow up after the CC came through from Ultra Prime to split the team. Now Ultra Prime, they get themselves 5 Grubs. If they can go towards towers, get a couple more plates, that could be the start of something very important for them. This looks like a much more solid foundation for Ultra Prime to work with if they can get some value out of sidelines. You can see right here, Vampire going forward, Nada going forward, but realistically, where's the follow-up? I don't think they should have gone as aggressive to this. I think that, Vampire, great game 1, but this is more of what we've seen from the group stage, where sometimes he just misjudges the engage.
Yeah, and of course you're looking at the other side. Arn had Bloodthirsty. He had the damage, and Nani, that's good CC, but you're alone at Boots and a Vamp Scepter. You're not realistically killing 2 people in a 2v1, and split cost him a bit.
And what the big problem here now, so Qingtian got himself a kill. He's actually ahead of YSKM now in that. With the 5 Grubs and the Might Buff coming through, Yukai's got himself a lot of plates now up towards topside. Got himself 2 of that, getting himself a lot of gold there. Vampire's coming up. Can they go for it? I think they just call this off, right? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, Nani with the Q3. Can't quite land onto Yukai, who Valkyries over and away from that particularly dangerous skill shot. And Immortal Steel will not find the Immortal... Valkyrie, that's just mainly the ability. I don't think
Yukai doesn't have... good dodge.
Yeah,
really
good important,
dodge. Yeah. It's like, he doesn't have his Valkyrie. That's a long cooldown in the early game, and you definitely maxed that one last, so gets away with that one for free just about, though.
20-second cooldown?
Not quite that
16?
long.
I know
I
they're
think they
down.
buffed it a little bit
Right.
over time. Oh no, look, folks, that's one of the cooldowns that's been changed the most. Also, Valkyrie used to cost 100 mana to cast because
Very
effectively,
expensive,
what they wanted to do to balance Corki was say, look, if you force him to be defensive and you force him to use the Valkyrie, at least he can't cast his abilities back at you because it's a huge mana cost at that point. It would really affect him in the early game if you got a good trade onto him. I think they nerfed that over. Oh, they buffed that over time, but back into a more reasonable cost.
I think especially now that he needs the Valkyrie to go forwards and be aggressive rather than defensive, it's nice to have that ability to do so just a little bit. Yukai steps back, a little bit afraid of the Soul Unbound and the ability for a Fate Seal to come on through, but will now get to go back and throw down a Gatling gun and mow down the minions there in a display of supreme violence.
Man, this Corki dude he's got problems, man.
There's just dude riding a manatee, strapped a machine gun to his head to like shoot down the guys in the lane. That's pretty psycho. I'm just saying. That's not a normal behavior.
Yeah, you could have fooled me. Wait, this is some really good plate taking here from Nani, who managed to get that good trade towards top side. Does mean that even though we were talking about plates going well over to the side of Ultra Prime, Nani clawing something back, and on the Yone, we said he's done some good work on this pick before. Nani has been under criticism for this team, but I think given the position he's been in, I still think that he's done an admirable job being role swap, being subbed in and out of this roster, getting him some gold to maybe be that killer blow post 25 minutes. Mazal likes to call it, like the instant win button post 25 minutes. You get a good enough Yone ultimate, the game just ends.
Yeah, it's like, and I've got everybody in it, everyone dies, excellent, we've won the game. Precisely, understand that. Hot lane, YSKM with the plates gone, actually gets a significant chunk down here.
Yeah, he has Grasp, and of course, not Grasp, he has Demolish Runner with that. And the thing about Fiora is that when you go towards something like the Grasp, you can go towards Grasp and Scorch or something like that, and you're basically a poke champion with a load of sustain that can just continually chunk people down. You can't stand in lane that long against them. Ultra Prime, even though they've lost a little bit on those side lane turrets, do get to the point where they get that Herald though, which can be important. Maybe they can use that to break open the mid lane turret, as we so importantly see in a lot of these games.
Also note that imagine if Nani and YSKM had grubs when they were making those shoves. It might be looking at a very different structure difference at this point. Top side though, Hacker comes from downtown, riding the Herald.
Okay, they're using it onto the top lane turret. So this is a little strange to me. Where's he gonna ride it back? So you can't get all the way back from top lane to mid lane, I think, from that angle. You need to start it off immediately going towards mid lane. He's gonna use it to basically rotate about the place and get a safe recall. They get themselves one of those side lane turrets though. It'll open up a little bit of a longer side lane. You can see right now, Qingtian doesn't want to sit here wave clearing. It's gonna be a teleport back in from Yukai. It's a bit of a baton pass in bot lane.
Look at the Herald. I think with the reset times, I wonder whether the Herald gets another charge.
No,
It's caught on the wave,
So,
unfortunately.
no, so he already got in to the Herald in
that
top
will
lane.
cancel the charge,
You can tell if there's an icon next to it if it has the charge. So if you don't kill a turret, you don't get another charge. There's no icon next to it, no charge.
That's fair. I know that the turret top lane did fall, so I wondered.
And then he
whether
immediately
got
hopped
into
into it.
Yeah, exactly.
and it went
Hopped
down.
into it. Yeah, exactly.
So we saw directly on our
No,
stream
I know.
that it had no charge.
Which is...
Look, Sam, in the LPL, we've become Herald experts recently. We've had taxi Heralds, we've had the big brain mid lane to bot lane Herald, we've had like the aggressive engage Heralds from Griffith, of course, on IG. It's kind of like a choose your fighter experience.
But they all look the same.
And yet they have different abilities.
Isn't it incredible?
How incredible is that?
That's not great for game read, though, you know?
I feel like we should have like a Herald Pokemon minigame where you get to choose exactly the same looking Herald with like vastly different.
And so it's just what's that Pokemon? It's Jigglypuff seen from above.
It is Jigglypuff seen from above. Yes, it is no longer Pikachu.
When I used to be a teacher, I actually pulled that move.
Yeah?
I had things thrown at me. There were some very angry children.
I would also throw this at you. I would be the angry child. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. Big items coming through from IG. You see the Blade onto Nani. You can see the Ravenous Hydra from YSKM, but it's not like there aren't items on the other side. You have Lichbane on the Nidalee. Proper assassin mode at this point. If Niket can find a good enough engage, maybe Hacker can take down a target as well. No one's massively tanky on the side of IG, but you need to bear in mind that. So it does feel like potentially Ultra Prime can get themselves some good picks at the start of the fight. On the other side, when you have the Grag Assault and you have the Leona, you're a little bit more safe to go towards those big fights.
Okay. Mid lane we sit. Doggo. Beginning to trade out in some of these minions and try and clear them out, but fight for that mid lane priority that is often the way of these objective setups. Sole point available for Ultra Prime, and that really came back to bite them in the last game.
IG get themselves into River first. Ultra Prime, they fell really prey to objective setups last time. They're on blue side, but they have a decent amount of mobility, so they don't get pinned against that wall in the way that some blue side comps can be, especially if they're less mobile. IG, they're going to give up the start on the Dragon. It got weirdly aggroed there, though, as it went on to Doggo. Maybe could have gone straight back to what the hell is happening with
Everyone's picking like, what
Dragon?
the heck is going on?
Well, but that's important, because that means that Ultra Prime can't start the Dragon.
No,
what the hell just happened there?
Really hurts
It means that
them.
it ends up slowing it down by about 4 or 5 seconds, and IG can look for the retake.
Yukai, who's a big part of the team fight, is trading up against YSKM. That's not like a huge teleport coming in from Yone to get on in here. Qingtian on a flank angle, maybe looking for that disruptive cast. On the other side, YSKM being forced away. Flash out to stay safe from some of that burst coming on through. Vampire stepping on forward. Solar Flare lands onto a few, but it's only the slow. And already a cash in for On. Make that 2 as Griffith gets another onto Hacker. And now Doggo and Yukai in the back of the pit. It is ugly stuff again from Ultra Prime around these dragons.
IG have been so much better around the Dragon, and I think, honestly, whatever the hell happened with the Dragon Patience bar there massively helps them out. It allows them to go towards the objective take, while Ultra Prime are kind of like dancing around not being able to damage it, because they couldn't burst it down. Ultra Prime, they end up dying in the first part of that fight, and they can't get that big engaged combo. Qingtian can't get it. Niket tried to body block to allow for that to set up, and it ends up failing. And now Ultra Prime, they lose themselves a side lane turret, they lose themselves that soul point, and IG are find themselves in another great spot. Niket is happy to take this hook. That's fine. The problem is that Qingtian is not in time to disrupt the back end of the combo, fails his body slam flash, and while that's happening, YSKM gets onto the backline. It feels really uncoordinated, and it feels like it's a sad situation when you're on one of these engaged supports, because if your team is not coordinated, like Vampire in the last time, sometimes you can just end up getting blasted while your team can't follow up.
And now there's a soul point available against them, and that is pretty difficult stuff to manage, especially with the Mountain Soul when you're trying to play with, as we said, the likes of this Fiora and this Yone. Any ways to make them tankier and more frustrating in a 1v1 sounds really irritating, I'm not going to lie.
So, back out onto the map, significant advantages for Invictus Gaming. You can see that really, they can start opening up into a 1-3-1 now. Ultra Prime losing that Dragon, not being able to use that Herald very well. I think that's been a big series of misplays around the objectives again. Ultra Prime seem like they are really rattled by the weight of the occasion. This series is so important for them. Qingtian has all on, no flash!
He's a bit deep. Remember, he's so much of a gold lead. They need to try and kill him, and they manage to do so. 2.2k ahead. Loses about 700 of that, and that's an important kill. Picked up and donated to Doggo.
Okay, so he'll be getting to a second item at some point. But Ultra Prime, they commit a lot of people towards mid lane for that, notably Qingtian, so he's not side laning against YSKM. Yukai's going to have to go and wave clear over here. We'll be able to stop YSKM from hitting that turret at least. Ends up using... Wait, hang on a second, you might be in a bit of trouble. There's a red buff currently on Yukai.
Slow, flash for flash. YSKM gets out safe.
Yeah, and you can see that Ultra Prime getting... Oh,
that's a good arcade shift.
Okay, so IG, they are a little bit less far ahead than Gold than they were because of that shutdown. Going into the replay, this will be of the mid lane. Yeah, see Doggo, Qingtian here. Qingtian doesn't hit the body slam, doesn't need to, just uses it to get that slow. Hacker's in lane as well. Doggo hits his full combo, and on, as powerful as he might be, can't end up winning the 1v4.
Of course, the Draven that Snowball will still be vulnerable in this mid game to the likes of the Gragas and the Leona in particular. We all know where the Draven's going to stand. It's where the big X marks a spot on the ground. He does like to catch those spinning axes. There's a reason or two for that with the passive involved, but it does make it pretty obvious where he's likely to be standing.
On is Draven, so powerful. Just died in that mid lane, yes, but I think On has been the beating heart of this IG roster of this iteration. I feel like he's done so much good work. The Ziggs has been leading his team to success recently. I feel like he's taken so many of these games by the scruff of the neck, and the Draven feels similar again. IG walking in there. Good solar flare.
That's a pretty decent damage. The turnaround's pretty big. It does get the Fate Seal onto Niket, who's not the tankiest. We're 1-for-1 right now as the Brand dies well. Vampire chunked about 20%. YSKM here with a bit of a speed buff. Slowed down by the Q from the Gragas. That rolling barrel doing some work is on. Blood rush his way towards the mid game, or mid lane rather. It's a 1-for-1 right now as Laney will go out and carve some lines in the sand with his Spirit Cleave.
So, about what you were just saying, YSKM no flash. Oh, this could be dangerous. He might have overstepped.
I think he's in a lot of danger. May need to try and get over the wall, but does have another lunge to get out to safety.
Yeah, there was a point there where you said, Niket, not the tankiest. He is still the tankiest member on the Rift. If he's not tanky, who is? You know, the Leona should be the person surviving through this, but it feels so difficult when Ultra Prime can't quite get themselves that big engage, or can't quite get themselves that big follow-up. In that fight, I think the stand aside from and interrupting the Zenith play, which means that he can't quite get that follow-up CC. IG walk away, losing though. You know, it's a wonderful one there. Losing maybe themselves a summoner or two as well. Getting themselves into a point where, you know, they just go a little bit too dangerously in here. They do have that immobile AP jungler with no flash at this point. It's the hook machine, so it's not the center side. Okay, so it was really well played from Vampire to ignore that one. Doesn't save Griffith, though, so he ends up dying all the same. I think IG are lucky to get away with less deaths than they did, but Ultra Prime still get one.
You still get the teleport out of YSKM as well, which feels pretty valuable. So now you've got the Muramana transformations coming on through. Still no Warmogs for either of these supports, which is actually a large part of why both of them feel just that little bit vulnerable to a lot of the upfront burst that both teams have here. It's an AP Gragas as well. That's sort of tank variety, so pretty much every member of the sort of non-supports on both teams able to put out a fairly significant chunk of HP damage given the opportunity.
So, Dragon spawning, Ultra Prime, are they going to go full prey to the Dragon resets again? They can burst this down, remember, very good single target burst. Hacker has good damage here, but I don't think they can do it in time. They're looking for the fight. Xingtian's not here.
Xingtian is not quite here. Yuakai chunked up, taken low and burning around as Nani just teleports in. And two members are dead. Lost the Leona, lost the Corki. Flash for a fate, sealed, and Doggo's put down again. They get another kill. Hacker's over the wall, trying to get out to safety. Will smite a mini Krug for some speed up, and Xingtian throws down a cast, but I think he's only drinking away his own sorrows. That Yone murders them all in the backline.
Nani popping off under so much criticism. He's going to walk away. Well, we'll call it the honorable quadra kill. YSKM takes that one away. IG spring to life in this series. I have no idea what Xingtian is doing teleporting in that late. He throws his team to the wolves. The Gragas is not there. Late on the punch again. An Ultra Prime around objectives this entire series have fallen apart. IG, again and again, better at the Dragons, better at the Barons. Now they're going to get themselves a huge side lane advantage finally again for YSKM and for Nani. And I think Ultra Prime might have just put themselves into a 0-2 versus the bottom team of the group. This is not a game which is easy to win now at all.
It's only now that Hack has a second item. Still not there for the top lane. They were down the item completions, never mind the member on top of it all.
Watch this. Teleport in very easily there from Nani coming on the side. Fantastic teleport for Nani, but an awful teleport for Xingtian. It's late. It is after everyone has already died. It is in the wrong position. He ends up dying at the end of it. I honestly think if Xingtian has a better teleport to at least get himself there early to disrupt the fight, I think Ultra Prime could have fought evenly. It's just not the case. Ultra Prime, this to me screams of a team that doesn't understand what they are looking for in the objective, and they're getting surprised when people are turning up on the flanks. IG, they are very good at team fighting. That's one of their best skills, and they've really set up well for it today.
See the damage of the team fight discrepancy. Just look at the difference in jungle, mid, bot. Just so hard right now for Ultra Prime to sit there and do damage, and now they're in a position where they're down Soul, down 7,000 gold, down the Baron, and potentially looking down the drain into the Nirvana group, having collapsed at the last minute in a way that is going to be such a frustration to them.
2 levels down in this top lane matchup. Xingtian, I think he's had a pretty poor game on the Gragas, sadly for him. He had to blind pick it into YSKM. YSKM showing that he can still play those duelists with Mountain Soul against the poke of Ultra Prime. You gotta feel like IG are so happy with how this is going. They have the Bloodthirster and the Mountain Soul on. Xingtian can barely hold lane against this Fiora on top side.
Still not quite towards Azonya's completion. At least has the Seeker's Arm Guard available, but now into a 4-1, Yone in mid lane, everyone else towards the top. Continue to shove around as Nani, Souls and Bound, Yuakai taken down, flashes on out, but Nani can just return right back whence he came, burning pretty low. Still not quite enough burn to bring him down.
Yuakai could recall and teleport back in. They could look for a fight right now if they wanted to, but I don't think they're in position to really start anything off. Very close to Nani going down. Nani, next time he goes to that play, will have an Infinity. None of this Jack Show third item. He is very high damage on the 404 Yone. He already has the Mountain Soul Shield to give a bit of tankiness. He doesn't have to go towards the full tank if he doesn't want. I think IG are just one team fight away from maybe the start of something special. I think this team has struggled for so much of this group stage. 1-5, deservedly so if you look back at those games.
Yeah.
But they've really done a lot of work to grow into this group stage. I think Arn in particular is starting to take this team by the scruff of its neck. The Ziggs in game 1, the Draven in game 2. The captain of this team has done an awful lot of work to make sure that this team has a platform to play from.
Now you've got 3 items on a Fiora, 3 on the Yone. The Draven's not mile off the completion on that Lord Doms either, feeling very happy about the game states, and now we're going to see the remains of this Baron used to try and bring down this final remaining outer turret on the way ping towards the bot lane. Nani trying to add some pressure on another lane.
Yeah, and okay, that's the first, that's going to be that parry gone, the riposte rather. YSKM flashes, goes out. It's going to be the solar flare for a summoner. I think you take that one. As IG walk away, not quite able to break open that inner turret on the top lane.
YSKM's been attacked a few times, had to flash away a few times, is yet to fall. Ultra Prime unable to capitalize really this game on whatever plays they've been making.
Gotta say as well, Ultra Prime, they went towards this Nidalee looking for an AP jungler. Hack is just not really convinced me of this one. I feel like, again, it's such a hard champ to play. Vampire missing the hook on the tower, but might just be able to catch out the cat anyway. Walks up and dies.
Has an Eclipse shield that means very little at this point of the game. Towards the other side of the picture-in-picture. Qingtian chunked by Nani as well.
I think what happened there is that Niket thought the hook was going to land, was like, well, I gotta body block this, and then the hook doesn't land, and he's like, I could have lived.
Yeah.
So Vampire weirdly missing the hook, just the fact that he was in position to cast that hook ends up killing Niket, who's... Sadly, I think both of these players have had a bit of experience of this in this series, where it's like, yep, you're playing the engaged support. When you're on the team who is losing, the engaged support dies an awful lot. Niket,
what is your purpose? Play frontline. Oh my god.
And Niket, no, this was the first pick, Leona. I don't think this game is on him at all. I think he's been dying for the sins of the team. I think that Ultra Prime's team fight setup has been the killer in this series, really.
Yeah.
Look back at these dragons, look back at the dragons, and look back at how Ultra Prime have been kind of like hanging in this kind of purgatory of not quite getting themselves the setup, not quite disengaging from the play either, and falling into the hands of IG, who are very decisive around these moments. Elder spawning in mid. We could get ourselves an Elder flip, but it feels so difficult against the double Infinity Edge carries of Invictus Gaming, who are hugely online. Ultra Prime, this would take some real heroics, and we've seen a lot of them in LPL, but this seems even beyond that.
Down that third eye to completion, still only really at 2 on most of the members. The Corki accepted, who is at 3.5, might be enough to get them some DPS down if Urukai is given some free space, but he's had a pretty quiet series himself, really struggled to get value out of these AD carry mids that he has nominally been really successful on.
And again, teamfight setup. How do you play a teamfight AD carry when your front line is kind of getting shredded so quickly, when you don't have that big disruption combo in the backline? I think the big thing here is how the hell do you play when Qingtian is so far down? Nani popping out of that fog of war. It could be a Baron, an Elder flip rather, but Ultra Prime, they're not getting access into the Dragon Pit anytime soon.
Important that. He did actually get the red buff for the double AD carry. Feels good as he's just waiting in that bush. Anyone face checks in the wrong way.
They've got to be so careful. They can face check with the traps. They can face check a little bit with the barrels too, potentially from Qingtian if he walks over. But IG, gonna be walking up to this Baron and Elder now. Blue Ward spots that one out. YSKM gonna be focused on the side lane.
They've got double teleports, so if they can kill YSKM in time, they can get over and fight the Elder afterwards.
No!
Should still get the kill, surely do so. But they need to now think about getting over towards the Elder Dragon, down to 4,000 HP. The teleports come flying on through. Vampire in danger, but the Elder's about to go! And so they get a kill regardless. Vampire flashes all the way as Griffith jumps over, trying to get some burning damage. Teleport towards the mid lane wave from Nani, who wants to get even more from this. Spikes up to get the Q3. Mortal Steel available, taken pretty low. Wait! Griffith gets a burn kill onto Doggo off screen, so they still end up with a 2-for-1 trade. And now the wave can be shoved through mid.
Ultra Prime have to go back to base. They have to heal up against the Elder. They can't stick around on half HP. IG, they once again bring Ultra Prime to the objective furnace and burn them up in it.
Towards we go, a 3v4 under the turrets against the Elder. Urukai chunks, taking pretty low. Nani gets a shield, of course. He's got a Mountain Soul and a Spirit Cleave. How on earth are you going to hurt him? Away they go. They will not push too far this time.
Yeah, defender's advantage working out for Ultra Prime, but still, that's going to be Elder down. They're going to walk over towards the Baron. I still think this is a game-ending play. IG get themselves that Baron. Ultra Prime can barely wave clear as it is. You can see that YSKM almost survives and almost wins in a 1v2 on top side. Qingtian missing his ultimate. God, Qingtian, it's one of the new players to Ultra Prime, but I feel like we're seeing once again one of his stylistic issues, which is when he falls behind, he falls completely off the face of the earth. And YSKM counter-picking that top lane has been so valuable because it unlocks that win condition for them. Saw the top side play here, but then coming through into that Elder fight, you see that Nani hops out of the pit, the Draven ult, trunks people so low, and it gets to the point where, yeah, Griffith can just hop over. Griffith, what a couple of series he's had. Ends up getting a huge amount of hit. How the hell does it burn down from this? The Leandries, the Elder burn. He gets an extra proc from something on there. Oh my god, it burns him down from half HP. What an insane burn.
I think that's 2/3.
That is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Did he have, he might have even had the Sorcerer's Pot on him.
Yeah.
An extra tick of damage came through. Griffith, bloody hell.
If you're wondering why people have been a little displeased by Brand lately, there's a clip for you.
So IG, Baron buff. Last of the Elder as well, looking to push into the spot lane inhib. If they can find themselves and engage, this game will end very, very quickly. The tower killing is insane at this point from the Fiora and the rest of the team. IG, they might just be looking on one hook. That's the start of it.
15 seconds of Elder Burn available, and we've known exactly what that can do. Qingtian gets his passive proc, and the shield comes down. Draven secures it, flashed away from Yukai, who needs to heal. Another one down. Niket burning out. An axe comes flying. And Invictus Gaming break Ultra Prime apart. 3-3 at the beginning of the day. Favorites to win. Not anymore. They laugh their way to the bank and an upset win in 2-0 fashion.
Ultra Prime, they were sat on the precipice. Only tens of HP against anyone's Legend, walking away with a 2-0 against them, which would have sealed them into the Ascension group. They lose that series 1-2 after not being able to finish that, and they end up losing 0-2 to what was before this the worst team in Group D. Invictus Gaming looking to change that. Honestly, they've looked like they've been playing without pressure on their shoulders. Ultra Prime feels like completely the opposite. Feels like they're crumbling under the weight of this scenario. Now, of course, the games next could still work out in Ultra Prime's favor. If anyone's Legend beat out Weibo, feels like Ultra Prime should still be in with a very good shot of getting towards that Ascension group. But this result today, this was the easiest it got. Invictus Gaming, maybe starting off something special.
Results change, the roster changes, but in the end, Invictus Gaming are still there to cause as many upsets as humanly possible. Not Giant Slayers, but it's certainly Dream Slayers, and they shut Ultra Prime out of heaven's door there just a little bit. What an insane series, and in credit to them as well, they played well. You know, I don't want to take this away.
Yeah.
They actually had a really solid series here today.
It's a multifaceted question, right? Because yes, IG played much better than we've seen them so far in group stage. I think that particularly Arn is continuing on a great streak of form. I think that Griffith and Nani had a great game today as well. But then you look over at Ultra Prime and you think, well, yeah, Qingtian struggled individually. I think that also Yukai was not playing up to his standards. I think Hacker was off the boil as well, considering that he's been such a powerful player for this roster. It feels